Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Inspired Action, where we dive into the most pressing leadership challenges and hope to inspire you to take a more coach-centered and people-focused approach to leadership. I'm your host, Kyle Pertuis, and it's time to get started with our three amazing guests for today. Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of Inspired Action. I'm Kyle Pertuis, your host, and I am here with three amazing guests today to answer this question. How do you navigate vulnerability while maintaining leadership presence? But first, a quick intro as I bring these ladies on, beginning with Melanie McCool, serial entrepreneur and owner of MindWorks Hypnotherapy. She is a certified master trainer of hypnosis, president of the Hypnosis Education Institute. She is driven by her own story of mental and physical burnout to empower others to make positive change in their lives to achieve the success they want with less stress and overwhelm. Next, we have Brandy Jackson, former LPGA player, dog mom, snack queen, fitness lover, and owner and founder of Brandy Jackson Golf, where she's guiding and instructing players and their families throughout junior golf and the college recruiting process. She advises and mentors young female golfers on remaining focused and intentional throughout their recruiting journey. And man, I bet the dynamics of that world have changed immensely. Last but not least, Anna Gergen, life and business coach and founder of Epiphanies Coaching. After 20 years in retail leadership, rising from sales associate to corporate director of innovation and creating award-winning training programs and countless groundbreaking initiatives, she went on a cross-country road trip and now hosts luxury retreats based on her journal series, Epiphanies, Self-Guided Reflections, helping others break through the barriers holding them back from their best life. All right, ladies, I can't wait to hear from each of you. This is going to be amazing. And we are going to get started with Melanie. So Melanie, how do you navigate vulnerability while maintaining leadership presence?
Well, when I think about this question, I have to think I actually have three different places of leadership that I operate. And it's only fair to give a summary that first and foremost, yes, I'm the owner of MindWorks Hypnotherapy, but I also run a company that helps hypnotherapists be successful in their business. And so with 25 years of experience in working in digital marketing and helping people to be successful online before I was a hypnotist, as a leader in that space, I've got to essentially link arms with them and pull them along while they're going through all the struggles. But I also get to share with them all the ways that I've fallen and gotten back up a million times, because it's not that I was certified and had a really successful practice because I'm magic. It's because I actually had the experience. And so there's that. There's my being able to share. Look, I know what it feels like to have a failure in your business and to get right back up and do it again. So that's that. In the and then in MindWorks Hypnotherapy, it's a totally different world. But I am leading every single client through their transformation. And if anybody's got to believe that they can overcome what it is that they've come to break free of, it's me. So I hold that space. And I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a licensed mental health professional. So I can tell my own stories. And it's wild because it never ceases to amaze me how many clients show up with an issue that is literally has a home of healing in my own life. And I can share with them that I've been there. Sometimes I tell them it's another client's story, but I'm using that story. And finally, as a volunteer, I am the president of the Hypnosis Education Association, but it's a not-for-profit and it's a labor of love. And we use our business acumen to take that company from where it was to now an international presence. And so that's all leadership all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the vulnerability there is that who am I to be the president of the Hypnosis Education Association when other members have been doing hypnotherapy for 50 plus years?
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard somebody once say vulnerability isn't about spilling your guts, it's about showing you have them. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think sometimes, to use vulnerability and strategic courage kind of interchangeably is really,
Yes.
really important. And I think we show up differently. And as you described in three different businesses,
Right.
Your story is kind of that underlying thing. Maybe it's more verbalized than some, and in others, maybe it just impacts you and the way you're showing up.
Right
Right.
on.
Love it. Awesome. Brandy, let's jump over to you. How would you add to what Melanie offered up about navigating vulnerability while maintaining leadership presence? I bet this never happens on a golf course.
No, never. And it never happens. I mean, my business is literally built around my vulnerability. I mean, it is based on the fact that everything that I do with the young girls is not about what I did well. It's about what I did not do well. And, you know, a lot of people teach and do stuff off of, well, this is how I did it. Let me show you how I did it well. And I'm actually the opposite. And I just had this conversation with one of my girls this week because we're prepping for mock interviews, for coach interviews. And I told this player that I had horrible communication skills all through college golf and playing out on tour. And that's why I didn't have more success. But in order for me to build my business, I had to learn how to do these things, or else I would have never got my business to the point that it is. So that's where that helps me maintain that leadership role by saying, you can get better at these things, you can improve them with work and with having to be put in these positions of being uncomfortable. Because I think if I didn't, you know, if I had just always been good at this stuff, I don't think they'd really buy into it. So I think by me showing them that, hey, I had to learn how to do this stuff, I had to learn how to get better at social media and speaking, and me trying to show them that, you know, I didn't have more success at these levels because I wasn't good at some of this stuff that I'm trying to get them to do. It allows me to show that vulnerability, and I have no problem admitting it, and personally and in all these things I struggled with at that point. It kind of allows me to show them that now I've had more success with my business and with what I do, but it wasn't something that was easy and that I've just always had. So you know, that's really been the core of my business. And I say it is things that, you know, I think everybody just always thinks I've been good at this stuff, and people who know me now just assume I've always been this way. And you know, maybe not necessarily the golf side of it, but how much it affected my golf game. And that's a big thing I try to tell them as well, is how much better my golf game would have been as well. And the experience I would have had collegiately and things like that, if I had done these things, communicate, spoken up, been able to go talk to people, just something like this. I would have been terrified to do stuff like this and speak,
Yeah.
and getting them to do things like that a little bit better.
Yeah, I love it. And ever since I've known, I think you met my wife at like what was some kind of crazy workout boot camp in some warehouse you were doing, what it was.
A long
But
time
ever
ago.
since
That
I've
was the
known
first
you,
year
you
or
have,
two in my business. Yeah.
yeah, you were just getting started, and you have always just been so just, yeah, this is me, this is how it was. And I think your ability to own your flaws before they own you is really probably what translates to how you're helping these young women, especially.
Yeah.
So I love that. Anna, let's jump over to you. What would you add to these two ladies' comments around navigating vulnerability while maintaining leadership presence?
Yeah, thank you. I love this question. Coming from a corporate background, I think that vulnerability in general is kind of like intimidating to a lot of leaders. You don't want to show your cards, right? But I think without vulnerability, you can't establish trust. I think that we don't give people enough credit for how intuitive people are. And when you're not being vulnerable, you're not necessarily being authentic. So one of the things I thought of is every time I'd have a team transition or be welcoming someone new onto my team, I would always send a welcome letter. And at the beginning stages of my career, this was more of like a letter of expectation of what I expected from them. And as I grew as a leader, it became also more of, and here's also some of some things about my leadership style. And also, I want you to know that I'm well aware that sometimes I can move super fast, and I'm giving you full permission to slow me down. I'm well aware that I might send after hours emails just because I need to get something off my mind. You're not required to respond to those emails, you know, kind of putting myself out there initially. And I think self-awareness is key when it comes to that, right? But without that level of trust, I think that that's also what can lead to burnout, because employees don't necessarily feel they can be vulnerable with you. If I'm not being vulnerable as a leader, how am I setting the standard that my team members can be vulnerable with me? So if they can't come to me and tell me what's going on in their world, then that might lead to burnout. Or on the flip side, they might not bring their great innovative ideas to me, and we might, we might lose out on great opportunities because, again, there's that sense of protection, self-protection, because vulnerability has to be mutual. So I love this question. I think that vulnerability is so key as a leader, and it's all about boundaries, right? Having strong boundaries as well, and maintaining a level of confidence in your vulnerability, making sure that you still maintain confidence as a leader and you maintain the respect of your team, making sure you're sharing the appropriate things with them. But yeah, I think vulnerability is key to success as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that last piece, if we think about maybe vulnerability adding volume to our leadership and not noise, right? I think a lot of times as you started, you were talking about how, well, we have to tiptoe around it, or maybe we've got to act like, things are fine, or that we don't do anything wrong, or whatever it is. And I think that just takes it to that next level to what, all of you kind of were saying, maybe in other ways, is that it builds trust, right? Because we show people that we're real, we're human, we're available, and we're not always on point. When you think about being in a leadership role, and we're all aware of limiting beliefs and gremlins and all those kind of things. And so when you think about your internal self-talk, what internal self-talk helps you lead confidently when you're feeling vulnerable and you're feeling uncertain? So if somebody wants to jump on that one, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll just go in reverse order. Anna, if you're cool kicking it off.
Yeah. I think it's making sure you're aware of overcoming the gremlin, right? That you're not good enough, that you shouldn't expose these things, that that it's scary or dangerous to be vulnerable. I think making sure that you just keep in mind that it actually takes courage to be vulnerable, and that courageousness will inspire the respect of your team, as opposed to that mindset that might tell you, don't be vulnerable, that's scary, don't put yourself out there. That's definitely would be the inner critic speaking, or the gremlin speaking. So being aware of that and overcoming it, I think, would be really important.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not aware of it, then it's just going to take over, right?
Yeah, self-awareness is definitely key. I think that it's foundational.
Yeah. Melanie, what do you think? What would you add to that?
Well, I was going to say if you're not aware that you have somewhat of a gremlin, then you might be an arrogant person as well, which you don't want to be to lead a team. I think your question was, what do I do with the inner critic, with the gremlin?
Yeah. So, what kind of self-talk? How do you reframe it? Maybe
I can only come from my experience, because when you ask me that today I say, well, I have experience that these people require to get to their next level of where they want to be. And I've been asked to show up in this capacity. So no matter what's going on right now or how I'm feeling, I'm going to show up and I'm going to serve these people to the best of my ability. It's like, you've got the experience. As also, as I say to people, if you can speak, speak, because most people won't. So if I can lead and teach, I must lead and teach, because most people won't. And so
yeah.
I
So to me,
essentially go, I have come through much harder things. It's been a much harder day that I've showed up in the past, and I'm going to show up today.
and knowing you the way I know you, and hearing that, what that says to me is you're really just reconnecting it back to the anchor and the passion that you have to serve other people.
That's
And
right.
so
And to see other
if
people
it's,
get past their own
yeah,
stuff to actually reach what they consciously want to achieve. Yeah, totally.
love it. Love that. Brandy, I know in the world of golf, it's really, what do they say? The 6 inches between the ears is the distance game that people are really concerned about. But does self-talk creep in for you as a business owner? I mean, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to process how to put this in frame of reference, that it doesn't just relate to the young girls, because I deal with the parents a lot as well. And the fact that, they come to me for me to help get them to play college golf. And it doesn't always work out. And so that's where I probably start questioning my ability to produce that result for them. And, for me, I always have to try to remind myself that for me, my goal with what I do, and even sort of my marketing piece behind it, is try and help remind myself that my goal is trying to help them be better people, better athletes. And if I can do that, I always have to try to remind myself of that, because that to me is now, sometimes the parents don't always buy into that because they want that ultimate piece, but I have to try to remind myself that for me, that is what I am trying to do, and try to ask myself if I was able to do that. So that's sometimes for me, kind of that self-talk is, do I feel like in 2 to 3 years, 4 years, will they come back and think, some of that stuff that Brandy had me do, helped me get better to be more prepared. So for me, that's where I keep kind of going back to that kind of leadership piece, and where I kind of question what I'm doing and wonder if it's really helping to make a difference, or the parents are kind of coming at me because their daughter's not going to these certain schools or doing certain things. And I have to kind of balance that piece of it, because it's very mentally taxing. The game of golf is, it's a lot of very, very tough, mentally draining, critiquing, overthinking. That part is very tough, in general. So I've been beating myself up since I was 8 years old for every little thing. And these girls do as well. So it's hard not to get that little gremlin out of your head for every little thing, but just trying to get the girls to kind of understand that too, and realize even for them that, it's not always about having to have this perfect path either, and just trying to get them to see the growth that they're doing, and trying to remind myself that that really is the ultimate goal. So I think for me, I always have to try to personally remind myself of that and get them to see that too, and try to help, hopefully bring myself back to that, and see that they're getting that piece of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, because it's kind of that dichotomy of the pressure to perform that they have on themselves, or maybe that even parents are putting on them, is mirroring the pressure you have to perform to help them achieve a result, that maybe feel more tangible, but we all know the real result there is some of these things that you're teaching are going to help them be better prepared for life. Right. And I can say that about all three of you, knowing that what you guys do. And I'll just share a quick story to speak to that question. Actually, when I asked you guys this, I didn't even think about it till I started listening, but our son is away at camp, as he is almost every summer. And it was a horrible tragedy, but they found out that one of their camp friends was on a hiking trip and passed away. Young guy, senior in high school. And so that's devastating enough, but we didn't really get to talk to him yesterday. And so of course we're wondering, how's he doing? And then he called later and, or actually early this morning, and talked to us for a brief minute, and you could tell he was upset about something. Anyway, we had to end the call quickly. I came in to do an episode this morning, and we're on the call and just kind of getting going, and my phone rings and it's him. And of course, kind of in the back of my mind, I'm already feeling that vulnerability and feeling that angst for your kid, and the pain that, he's experiencing the first time he's ever had to go through anything like this. And I just wanted to say, wait a minute, I got to take this call. And I didn't, and I knew he was fine. It wasn't anything urgent, but that creeps in. And so when you think about things that happen so often in leadership on the fly, I mean, things can be going great, and then all of a sudden something happens, and we have to figure out how to maintain our composure and to move through things. And I don't think that comes with suppressing the emotion that comes with it. It may be a temporary postponement of it, and then a release intentionally at some point after the fact. But yeah, I think it's a great reminder that when the things start taking off in our head, we always have that option. I think, Melanie, you kind of alluded to this. We always have the option to reframe it and put ourselves in the state of mind that we really choose to be, and being more present in that moment. All right, ladies, I wish we could go on and on for another hour or so. Well, actually we could, but I want to honor your time and our guest time. I certainly appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Be sure to join us every Thursday on LinkedIn at noon Central, and always check out new episodes in the longer version on our YouTube channel at MindFit Coaching. Thanks again, ladies. Thank y'all so much. Well, that's a wrap for another edition of Inspired Action, the Leadership Forecast. We're so grateful for our guests today and the impact they're making with the work they do. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel to watch the longer version of this episode, and be sure to like, comment, connect with, and follow me and each of our guests. You'll find all of our links in the caption of this video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in every Thursday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern for new episodes.